Samsung announced that its Gear S3 was finally ready to be used with iOS, I was stoked that maybe an Apple Watch competitor had finally arrived for the iPhone. I probably should have known better. I don't mean to say that the Gear S3 has nothing going for it on the iPhone. It's got plenty. It's rated for a wider range of temperatures, and it can handle more abuse, for one thing. And though it's much larger than the Apple Watch, I prefer its look, with its always-on display and easier-to-use app launcher. It also uses standard 22mm connections, so you can bring your own watch bands, and depending on which version you get, it'll last as long or longer than the Apple Watch on a single charge. Most of the problems with the Gear S3 on iPhone aren't Samsung's fault. Rather, they're effects of the stringent control Apple exerts over its ecosystem. Mobile payments are a great example of this. When it's paired to an Android phone, the Gear S3 is a very convenient way to pay for things. Even more convenient than the Apple Watch because it'll work on any magnetic stripe reader. But when it's paired to an iPhone, the Gear can't do payments at all because the Samsung Pay app just isn't there. For similar reasons, you can't buy new watch faces or apps for the watch at press time. You need to stick to the free ones. Even super basic stuff like the timer and stopwatch aren't included by default. You need to go download them from Samsung. Plus, you can't reply to notifications from your wrist like you can when you're paired to an Android phone. You can't even archive or dismiss emails. And the iOS version of the S Health Fitness Suite is definitely pared down compared to the version you can run on a Galaxy. Apple, I love you, but you're bringing me down. The Gear S3 does some things well on the iPhone. Once you get it set up properly, which requires you to pair the phone with two separate Bluetooth connections from the watch, it gives you prompt notifications on your wrist, and of course they show up crisply on the beautiful display. On the whole, it's also snappier than the Apple Watch. It boots much faster and doesn't make you wait while it loads apps, as the Apple product sometimes does. The Gear S3 also does well for phone calls. I carried on a half-hour conversation on it, and the caller couldn't tell I was using a watch until I told him. I wanted to title this video, "The Best Smartwatch for Your iPhone is a Samsung." You know, for the clicks. But it's just not true. Functionally, the Gear S3 is severely handicapped when you use it with the iPhone, just like every other smartwatch not designed in Cupertino. Also, Samsung's app ecosystem lags the Apple Watch by the thousands, and the starting prices for these watches are almost identical. So if you have an Android phone and want an excellent and fully featured wearable,